দর্শক আমন্ত্রণ জানাচ্ছি চ্যানেল 24 এর বিশেষ আয়োজনে। আজকে আমরা কথা বলবো বিগত এক দশক কিংবা এক দশকের একটু বেশি সময় ধরে আরএমজি সেক্টরে অর্থাৎ তৈরি পোশাক শিল্পের যে পরিবর্তন, আমরা অনেক কিছু দেখেছি, অনেক দুর্ঘটনা দেখেছি, অনেক ইতিবাচক পরিবর্তন দেখেছি এবং সামনে কিছু চ্যালেঞ্জও আছে। এই সব কিছু নিয়ে কথা বলবো এবং সব কিছু নিয়ে কথা বলার জন্য আমাদের সাথে দুজন অতিথি আছে। তার আগে আপনাদেরকে স্বাগত জানাচ্ছি ট্রান্সফরমিং দি আরএমজি ইন্ডাস্ট্রি ইন বাংলাদেশ এই শোতে আমাদের সাথে কথা বলার জন্য আজকে আমাদের সাথে দুজন বিশেষ অতিথি আছেন। আমাদের সাথে আছে জনাব আব্দুর রহিম খান, ইন্সপেক্টর জেনারেল, যিনি একজন অ্যাডিশনাল সেক্রেটারি, ডিপার্টমেন্ট অফ ইন্সপেকশন অফ ফ্যাক্টরিজ অ্যান্ড এস্টাবলিশমেন্ট, গভর্নমেন্ট অফ বাংলাদেশ। আপনাকে স্বাগত জানাচ্ছি, আশা করি আপনি ভালো আছেন।
থ্যাংক ইউ।
আমাদের সাথে আছে আইএলওর বাংলাদেশ কান্ট্রি ডিরেক্টর তুমো পুচি আইএন। ওয়েলকাম টু দ্য শো।
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, and hope you are having a good day.
Absolutely.
It's a very good place to discussion on the RMG sector and the transformation. আমরা আপনাকে দিয়ে শুরু করতে চাই জনাব। আমরা শুরু করতে চাই যে গত এক দশকে আমরা অনেক সিগনিফিক্যান্ট চ্যালেঞ্জেস ছিল, সিগনিফিক্যান্ট এবং ইতিবাচক পরিবর্তন আমরা দেখেছি এবং দেয়ার ইজ ইমপ্রুভমেন্ট অন দ্য লেবার স্ট্যান্ডার্ড অ্যান্ড দ্য ওয়ার্কপ্লেস সেফটি। প্লিজ টেল আস মোর অ্যাবাউট ইট। You will feel free to speak in any language.
No, thank you very much. And first, I must thank you that you have already acknowledged that the significant improvement already taken place in Bangladesh as far as the working condition and labor rights are concerned. You see, RMG is almost 84% of our total export basket. Having this number, around 4 million people are working in this sector, and of them 55 to 60% are women. So the very important and very crux of this industry is that we have to ensure the workplace safety, good working condition, as well as the betterment of their living standard. On this note, Bangladesh, since last 10 years, I should say, has progressed tremendous. If I start with the institutional reform, that it was a directorate, my department, DIFE, Department of Inspection for Factories and Establishment. In the year 2014 or 15, in the year 2015, this directorate is upgraded to department. And also high-level official installed at the leadership. That basically convey the commitment of the government that the inspection department is very important for the overall betterment of the industry, particularly RMG.
In that particular sector, I have a follow-up question to ask you before I forget. That when you go and inspect the factories and people who started transforming or who are in the process, but what about those people who don't try to listen to you, I won't say, but it's tougher to make them listen to you, right? How do you deal with the situation?
Yes, it's not a straight line. There are a lot of challenges. So I'm coming to your point, but before that, let me also explain that not only the status of the department is upgraded, but also manpower increased. And if I take the example of number of inspectors, it was only 84 inspectors across the country. And we had only 4 offices in 4 divisional district office. Now we have 31 offices in different districts, mostly industry prone areas, and we have more than 800 approved inspectors in our department to periodically inspect and monitor the progress of working condition and labor rights. Now coming to your point, that it is
my point was, if I try to give you a reminder, that how do you, I won't say force, but how do you sort of...
Got it. And now coming back to your point, that how we ensure the inspection findings with the industry owner.
Especially people who doesn't listen to you.
No, I don't accept this way, because this is a collaboration, and this collaboration is between among the owners, owners, workers, trade union, and government. So this holy nexus basically ensures the findings of our inspection. We go for several, protocols on several issues, like we go for examining the fire safety. we also going for electrical safety, structural safety, then labor rights. So,
Right.
whenever the issue of infrastructural fire safety or electrical safety is concerned, there is cost involvement, and naturally the industry or entrepreneurs may not have the sufficient fund to address those issues. And on this note, basically I should appreciate some brands who are coming up, I mean
Okay.
stepping in the reform process.
That's good to know.
And also ILO and IFC, one of the member of the World Bank Group, they are also joined their hands together, like the initiative of Better Work Bangladesh, just to address these pertinent issues, so that the industry become more safe for the workers, workers enjoy more rights in their workplace, and the product become more competitive in the international market, because it is end of the day your money. So, investors putting money for benefit, and government is supporting through policies and through some other instruments, not only for the betterment of the industry, but also making sure the employment of mass people in our country.
On this point, I'm coming to you, Mr. Tumbo. So, the government has done some progress, either by convincing them or forcing them. That's one part. The other part is there are some companies along with their buyers, they are changing themselves. So, there is a changing, the trend is there. So, how do you see or how do you evaluate the whole thing along with the labor rights perspective that we are right in right direction, and what specifically ILO is dealing with every day?
Well, thank you. And first, just to pick up from where my colleague was
Sure.
talking to, just to remind us that there has been quite a tremendous reform process ongoing in Bangladesh when it comes to labor-related issues. And that includes a couple of key areas of work. One of them is the government is investing more in improving its systems. And I think the IG was talking to that. It is the labor inspection system improvement. It is very important that the government has the right kind of institutions and the right kind of quality of institutions that protect workers, but also businesses at the same time. And that's what the labor inspectorate is to do. But that's also what, for example, labor courts are to do, and that's also what, for example, grievance handling and conciliation. When there's a problem, how to solve those problems, you have to have institutions to do that. Just as importantly, it is important that the workers themselves and the workers' organizations have the capacity and the space to operate, because they are the ones who are working, so their voice, their capacity to represent themselves is also very important. And thirdly, and I think this is one of the key areas of our discussion today, it's the role of the private sector. It's the role of the factory owners, the managers, but also the buyers, how they see these improvements and how they are motivated and have the right kind of conditions and the right kind of investments to make sure that the working places are safe, respect the law that the IG here is mandated to uphold, but also do what increasingly is referenced as responsible business, right? So that's really kind of like those 3 or 4 areas of work where I think the reforms are mostly taking space. And it is in that space where the ILO IFC program, the program Better Work, is trying to operate. Because it acts
for the last 10 years almost.
Almost for 10 years in many ways. And that's kind of like the intermediate between the buyer, the supplier, and the actual conditions inside the factory. So it's quite a unique program in that way. And it very nicely complements the government. Because government's role, of course, is to enforce laws. And to create the right kind of standards, the right kind of awareness. But what happens inside the factory is of concern to the brands and buyers, and of course is also of concern to the workers and the managers inside the factories. And it's really that work that the Better Work is very much working on. So in a nutshell, it's about working conditions, it's about wages and benefits, it's about creating culture of safety and health. It's about making sure that issues around gender equality are addressed in the factory, but also that the worker welfare generally is increasingly looked into, such as maternity protection or nutrition or hygiene. You know, there are many issues that a modern workplace needs to recognize and improve on, and that's really the work of the better work. But at the higher level, and the role of the ILO is to support the government in these labor reforms, because the labor reforms are a bigger wheel.
Yeah.
There are laws, there are institutions, there are attitudes, there are practices. But at the factory level, that's where the better work is really trying to be of assistance and help.
Right. Moving to the next section, Mr. Khan, how was the partnership, the government better work, and the role of your department overall enhance and compliance and enforce of labor standards in the RMG sector?
Well, thank you. Let me also include to my previous statement that apart from institutional reform, we also went through several legal reforms.
Such as?
And you know, the trade union registration threshold.
Okay.
So it was you know, downsized so that many workers can join and form more you know, trade union in their factory. The other one is the fine for the disobedience of Bangladesh Labor Act or labor rules. Earlier it was 5,000 taka only. It is now increased to 25,000 taka.
Yeah.
And also we have by legal provision we have issued some SOP, standard operating procedure, for trade union registration, so that it is now more easier. I mean, it is easier than the earlier that the workers can form their registration. And digitalization is another part which has taken place in DIFE in a big way, I should say.
Okay.
As you know, the present government is committed to build a smart Bangladesh.
Right.
And on this notion, Department of Inspection for Factories and Establishment already introduced tremendous you know, ICT in its inspection mechanism. If I take the example from LIMA, Labor Inspection Management Application, which allows our inspectors to do the inspection on real time and produce the report on real time. Meaning, in the head office, as the head of the department, I can see the report immediately after my inspector doing the inspection.
Okay.
So this is a tremendous improvement in DIFE, and it has manifold. I mean, as many as 14 to 16 modules are there in the inspection, and encompassing almost all the relevant sections of BLA and BLR, so that the inspection taking care of not only the workers' rights, not only the structural safety, fire safety, electricity, but also the sustainability issue.
Okay.
Nowadays, we are more concerned about the sustainability. So all these things we can ensure by this, automation, what we call LIMA. And now we are working on LIMS, which will I will explain in my later part.
Sure.
Now coming back to your point again, that Bangladesh is committed. As you know, the government is not only a traders or business friendly government. The focus, I mean center of the business friendly government lies in the welfare of the workers. And our father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, all the life he spoke in favor of workers.
Yeah,
and
equality.
He tried all his life to make sure workers have better life, better living standard. And on this note, present government is also over the last one decade, I should say, putting maximum efforts so that the workers' right is enforced. This is why now we are talking about the occupational health and safety issues. And this government also, established one institute in Rajshahi that we call National Institute for Training and Research on Occupational Health and Safety, In short, it is Nostri. So there,
I didn't know that. It's my hometown.
Yeah, this is a unique, I should say, arrangement by the government in Bangladesh. Of course, with the support from our development partners like ILO, GIZ, and other organizations. This is a architecture we are trying to develop. First, we go for a research how we can ensure the occupational health and safety, and outcome of the research will deliver through training.
Okay.
Training to the industry, training to the workers, training to the trade unions, training to the government agencies. And then we are going to implement through our inspections. So, research, training and inspection, these three is combined together in this institute. So, this is why now we are waiting that the soon we will be will launch this institute, and the more benefit will go to the workers and the industry. And this point I should say a little more.
Sure.
That we in this journey, I mean the legal reform, institutional reform, training and skill development, we find our development partners right at the center.
Okay.
And this is why this initiative Better Work Bangladesh, at the moment we have 476 factories, and this is an acknowledgement by the international community, because it is not only ensuring my competitiveness, it is also ensuring the sustainability of the manufacturing practices, which is more important nowadays, given the fact that EU is going to enact a Green Deal. They are going to enact, that we call eco-design product regulations.
Wow.
Whereby there is no question that the industry is not circular, industry is not sustainable, then my product is not going to,
no one will buy
marketed there.
Yeah.
So this is how our development partners and government join together on three key issues, as my colleague from ILO already have mentioned. Let me reiterate that workers' right, workplace safety, and appropriate legal reform and institution reform to carry on this reform agenda to a positive manner.
That's good to know, but in terms of worker rights, there are a lot of questions, because if I go back to the ILO governing body hearing just a few days back, when the law minister had to answer a lot of tough questions, mostly from the Westerners, they came up with individual cases. How you deal with that?
Okay, thank you. To remind me the GB meeting in Geneva, you see, I was in the session. I was in the session, and almost 24 speakers across the globe spoke on behalf of Bangladesh. And they clearly raised their voice that Bangladesh has done tremendous progress in terms of legal reform, institutional reform, to ensure the workers' right and workplace safety.
They both criticized also, they also praised the government.
But criticism is, if you can remember, they probably have raised one or two speakers from different corners. They tried to explain 2-3 incidents in Bangladesh. I should not repeat them, that the government is not taking care of. But our honorable minister rightly explained the fact that all the issues are being taken care of by the government and by the law enforcing agencies.
Right.
It is, you see, it is a tremendous progress. Nowadays in Bangladesh, you can see more than 200 factories. If I remember correctly, 225 factories already, given certificate from USGBC. And not only that, the energy efficiency, the eco-design, sustainability, circularity in production process, all these factors already, introduced in Bangladesh RMG industry in particular. So in GB meeting, most I enjoyed the appreciation from various countries, from Asia, from Middle East, from Africa.
From everywhere.
Yes. A few, I should say 1 or 2, criticized, not in general. They raised 2-3 cases which was, happened in the past, and our minister appropriately answered to them, explained that what measures we have already taken and addressed properly. And at one point of time in GB meeting, they were about to be agreed to withdraw the paragraph. But again, for the betterment, they then put it as an observation for 1 year probably, and I'm sure.
I'm sure it can
my
be
colleague from
I would love to
ILO
listen on this point from Mr. Tummo. So it's just been done, the GB meeting, and probably next 1 year there will be a lot of progress, because there are a lot of progress. This is one of the sector, even if I try to neutralize the whole thing, we have seen the really improvement since Rana Plaza till now. So how do you see, apart from the initiative taken in terms of very detailed project, as you mentioned, and then how you see the other hand, definitely not organized, but different accidents, I would say, in terms of worker rights thing.
Okay, so maybe just picking up from what my colleague was saying. Yes, indeed. I mean, there is a progress, and there is also quite a big investment by the government, the industry, and the partners on continuously improve. And I think the investments being made in the labor inspection system, including the digitalization and making the labor inspection system more effective, is a must. And it is not a must only for the garment industry. It's a must for other industries that are emerging. And in the same way as was put forward, investment in having a national institute on occupational safety and health is a wonderful example of an investment that is investment for the future. It does not produce something imminently. It produces capacity, knowledge, understanding for the future. And as Bangladesh is growing fast, and many industries are coming online, and many of these industries are either for the local market or for export markets, it is extremely important that that type of investment is maintained. At the same time, of course, there are challenges. There is a continuing ask, particularly when it comes to the labor standards. And this is what we are working very closely with the Ministry of Labor, with the Ministry of Law, and the government in generally to improve on the national labor laws and to make them increasingly in alignment with the expectations of the ILO system, but also the expectations of which are ultimately the expectations of the trading partners as well. So that process is organic, it's ongoing, and we are very hopeful to see that in the next submission of the revision of the Bangladesh Labour Act,
which is due by?
Which is due very soon. I mean, it is up to the government to work it into the parliament. But we are hopeful that quite a lot of the fundamental issues that have been raised over the years would be addressed. So we wait and see, but we are very, very hopeful that there is recognition, there is understanding, and there is a process that allows for maximum to be corrected. When you talked about in practice, going back to the factory floor, so to say, so when we think about what is it exactly that labor inspection is doing, and what also in many ways is what the Better Work program is doing, it's all about looking into, assessing and looking into what's not currently being applied properly in according to the law. Because the law at the end of the day is the standard. This is what you're supposed to do. It's the minimum standard. You can always do better in your factory or workplace, but you have to respect the law. And if there's any challenge in terms of not respecting the law, then from there it follows that it would be good to improve. It would be good to correct. And in that way, the labor inspection is doing that as per the law, as per the mandate. The Better Work is doing that voluntarily through an agreement between the buyers and the suppliers. So the logic is a little bit different, but the purpose is the same. You check and you look into how is the factory or the establishment living the law, applying the law.
Following it.
Yeah, following it. And if you find some shortcoming, you want to fix it. You want to fix it with the factory, with the management of the factory, with the involvement of the workers if necessary and possible, and also with the buyer, because at the end of the day, you want to assure your buyer that you're respecting the law. That's the minimum, right? So that's kind of like where the Better Work program is very much working on. Once you have worked the minimum, you want to improve on that.
Yeah.
Why do you want to improve on that? Because you want to be a competitive modern business. And that's why the Better Work is also working on management systems, on productivity, on ensuring that there are no problems in the factory floor, like safety and health committees, participation committees, sexual harassment committees.
Right.
You know, you need to have a working environment where it is understood how, what are the principles, what are the standards, and what is the role and responsibility of each and every one. That's really at the nutshell the sort of the work of the Better Work. And lastly, there are certain special investments that the Better Work is engaged in. And those special investments are in the area of worker welfare, like maternity protection. We have a Mothers at Work program and a maternity protection work. Also in terms of helping women workers graduate to higher level jobs, like from the factory floor to become a supervisor, and so kind of like have a career progression, because we see a lot of women increasingly not working in the garment industry, and the number of women is reducing, right? So the skill sets and the supervisory abilities of women workers is something also that is being worked on. These are kind of like positive investments.
Sure.
That the factory and the suppliers.
It's a very long-term investment, I would say.
Yeah, long-term kind of investment as well. But the basics is respect the law, and if there's any shortcoming, correct it. And in that way, the Labour Inspectorate and the Better Work are very aligned. Except that the Better Work is a voluntary program, and the government is, of course, is mandatorily checking on these factories that they are doing the right thing. Ultimately, the purpose is the same. The purpose is to have well-functioning, sustainable, competitive establishments and factories who can sell goods to foreign markets and local markets, and can invite anybody to come and check their factory, because you are working
open and transparent.
You are working with the modern principles of factory management, and you are respecting the law.
Yeah, it's very interesting that we have the most advanced factories in Bangladesh, and that's the highest number. And at the same time, we sell the most efficient cloth, I would say. That's also in the highest in the world, second highest in the world. So on this issue, when you say competitiveness, I have one particular question to ask you. Maybe it's out of the line, or I don't know, but I need to ask you that when Bangladesh is doing all this progress every day, every single minute, at the same time, the biggest buyers, like from the Europe, they're coming in with due diligence law. US, they are doing the US competitiveness investigation, and you are our partner. ILO is the partner. How Bangladesh is having a new understanding of the global changes?
Yeah. So, of course, the global business environment evolves. You know, there are new requirements, new expectations on suppliers in particular. And sort of human rights due diligence is one of that. And it's not only European Union, it's also many other countries and markets that are increasingly looking into what is their role in terms of the producing countries, like Japan, Korea, Australia, US, Vietnam, all of these countries, right? So that expectation, Bangladesh needs to be very alert to.
Okay.
And of course, the garment industry, and we have discussed it today, is quite prepared already, because it has been working 10 to 15 years on various improvements. And my colleague was also talking to the environmental issues, to green factories, LEED certified factories, because it's a bundle. It's a bundle of labor rights and social conditions. It's also issues around environment and green economy. And it's also issues around governance and human rights generally. So in that bundle, I think Bangladesh is quite advanced. Because
we don't need to worry that much.
Well, you do need to worry, because you always need to worry. But what I'm saying is that the garment sector...
We are a bit prepared than others.
Garment sector is quite prepared.
Okay.
But other sectors need to continue to invest in, because like I said earlier, Bangladesh is growing very fast. You want investors, you want your EPZs and SEZs diversify. You want to sell bicycles, you want to sell electronics, you want to sell mangoes and biscuits and tea. Leather goods, all these goods. So they need to be looking into that preparedness, not by forced to, but through their self-interest of having the right kind of preparedness and understanding the expectations on their supply chains when the buyers ask. Be prepared before asked, essentially.
Right.
Because the garment sector reforms, they have been like hard won. It has been 10, 12, 13 years of back and forth. But now that understanding is there, the industry has mostly internalized why these changes have happened, and now their job is to maintain these changes, improve on these changes, and expand on these changes.
Right.
But the other industries are not in the same space yet. So that's really...
I hope they listen to you and they'll start improving.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are.
Mr. Khan, I'm coming to you. I think it's one of the toughest jobs for the government is to listen to the workers and the industry owners, especially the owners, and bringing them in one table to make sure things go right. How you every day face this situation? How you tackle it down?
Intelligent. But before I go into your point, let me also add some my observation with
you both are adding for each other.
in.
Nobody is debating. It seems pretty organized.
He was talking like, I mean, he has already mentioned that RMG is already ready to address the international challenges coming in place and in future. Also other sectors, you know, Bangladesh Labour Act is not meant for RMG sector.
Yeah, it's for everybody.
Bangladesh Labour Act is not meant for only export. It is a holistic, I mean, law to ensure the labor rights and workplace safety across the country, across the industries. And this is why our other sectors are already under our coverage, I mean the inspection.
Good to know.
We do inspect not only RMG, we do inspect shops, factories of leather, plastic, everything, jute. So this is how, rather I should say, the example set by RMG sector is a guiding for other sectors.
Definitely, it should be.
So when you see a sector is improving in terms of international standards, you have to also acknowledge that other sectors are also improving, because they have the examples in front to be internationalized. Because we also do export leather goods, we also do export plastic,
shrimp,
we also do export agro processing. So those are industries are also compliant in terms of labor rights and other issues we are discussing today.
Oh, they should be compliant.
Yes. So this is why I like to add with Mr. Tomo Potianin that it is not only RMG progressing in terms of compliance, but also other sectors. And there are a lot of tremendous examples. If I take examples from plastic, from leather, you know, these are countless industries in Bangladesh we have who are doing excellent compliance. Pharmaceuticals, there are many, and they
pharmacy is quite ahead, I must say.
They are
pharmacy
also exporting. Here I would like to mention another issue that our domestic market is also a big one. We do not only carrying the export, we also do carrying the domestic market, because it's a huge market.
And diversified.
And very diversified. So the compliance, the standard, occupational health and safety, not only for export, but also for domestic industry, domestic products and domestic market. Now, coming to your point that
কিভাবে মালিক শ্রমিক একসঙ্গে
yes, from the outside someone can say, oh, how it happens that workers, employers and government joined together for common objective. Interesting thing is, in our institutions we call it tripartite consultation mechanism. Everything we do for our industry, for our workers, we do through tripartite consultation, meaning we have employers, we have employees, and we are the government. Together we sit and we analyze the situation and we frame policies and we reform our legals like BLA. I mean, whenever we have done 2 amendments in Bangladesh Labour Act.
Right.
One in 2015, another 2018. And you of course know, it is a rare example that one act is amended twice in 5 years.
Which is very rare in Bangladesh.
Which is basically a strong commitment of the government towards the welfare of the workers and industry.
Yeah.
I should repeat, the government is extremely focused to ensure the betterment, living standard and welfare of the workers. And why you see 3 joined together, it is for the betterment of the overall economy. If I cannot create economic activities in the Bangladesh, I cannot create demand and I cannot create the supply. So my cycle of economy is rolling up and up. And you see the number of GDP, now it is close to $500 trillion, $500 billion economy. So in this economy, you cannot just sit idle in and depend only one sector. It is a diversified economy. And this is why our owners are also aware, and government is always engaged with the owners and workers together, so that the working conditions is better than any other time.
Thank you. We are almost at the end of the show. I have one particular common question to both of you, and both of you can answer, and nobody is debating. So, so we have learned lessons. We had bad experiences, and we have changed the transformation, which is faster than any South Asian country, or I would say Asian country. And we know how to produce good clothes, fine quality. The communication is getting better in terms of air cargo or ship. Yet we don't have a deep sea port, but it's moving faster. And we have the behavior which is not seen at 90s that I won't change. Now things are changing. Yes, there are some criticism. Sometimes government takes it politically. That's why the political government is there. But sometimes it also needs to be understand that everything is not politics. Some things are beyond politics. So how do you see the next 15 years as our competitors like Vietnam is not stopping? It's getting more and more orders in terms of not RMG or everything. And we also have other competitors. And what are the places government need to address right now? That's it's very specific and a broad question to you. And what are the expectations government really have from the organization like ILO and other developing partner? I would listen to you first, and then he will close the show.
Okay. So thank you. And picking up a bit from the discussion that we have had, that there is this labor reform process that that is quite well articulates and quite well focuses on the right kind of improvements that need to continue to be made. And some of those improvements are well on their way, and there are certain challenges and certain issues that still need to be addressed.
Such as?
Such as one of them is the labor law. It has to be brought into the alignment with the labor standards and improved. And why is that? It is because at the end of the day, the workers are less powerful than the employers in many ways. And it is for the labor law to balance it out and protect better the workers and to be able to really be in alignment with the expectations of Bangladesh standards and laws. And I think that is possible to happen and hopefully happening very soon. The other is going back to these institutions of labor governance. It is very important that the labor inspection system, the dispute handling system, the labor court systems, they all work for all sectors.
Okay.
Because it is imperative for Bangladesh that problems, whatever they are addressed at the earliest possible stage, and there is credibility in the institutions of government. That's why we at the ILO are so much working with the government of Bangladesh and the Ministry of Labour in particular, Ministry of Law, to kind of like provide technical assistance to make them so that Bangladesh has the right kind of institutions that protects both the workers but also the employers. Because Bangladesh needs competitive, sustainable businesses.
Right.
And that's the third point. Bangladesh, as we have said, is growing very fast and diversifying very fast. Many good businesses are there. But those good businesses need to not have to be not individual good businesses, they have to be a good sector. Because the sector will be one establishment, but it will be it also includes transport, it also includes SMEs, it also includes other actors in the value chain.
Right.
All of those actors need to play with the same kind of rules. And that's what the expectation, the market expectation to Bangladesh is increasingly. That's the human rights due diligence business, and that's the business case for the buyers and buying organizations and the suppliers, the private sector essentially, to work together to improve on working conditions, social conditions, and environmental conditions. So when these three things are attended to, there's no end to where Bangladesh cannot go in terms of economic development. And when they are attended to together by the government, by the employers and the private sector, by the workers, and also in sort of understanding the expectations of these markets, then Bangladesh will become much more stronger economy. And like I said, there's no end to where it can go in terms of employment, decent employment, in terms of sustainable enterprises and good kind of sort of socio-economic development for all.
What's your?
Well, thank you. If I answer your, question, responsible business conduct.
Okay.
With these three words, I hope you understand
I
what
get it.
Bangladesh actually
That's very
looking
interesting way
forward
of
from
answering a very big question.
yes, from the development partners.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it is we have done legal reforms, has done structural adjustment, structural reform, electric, fire safety, many things. But fair price is a question for our industry owners.
Yes.
And there was an initiative by the EU we called Sustainability Compact.
Yeah.
There were three pillars. One is labor rights, workplace safety, and third one was the RBC, meaning responsible business conduct.
That was formed in Geneva 2013. I was there.
Although Bangladesh acknowledged by the international community and ILO in particular that we have done satisfactory progress in the areas of labor rights, workplace safety. Now we are asking for responsible business conduct from our partners. With this, of course, this journey is not a journey that a country can carry forward alone.
Yes.
So the technological advancement is required, where Bangladesh, of course, willing to have support from the international community and development partners, so that we can introduce advanced technology in our industry, so that we can increase our efficiency, and we can reduce water footprint, we can reduce environmental footprint in broader sense, and we can be recognized as the most successful sustainable manufacturing practice in our country that will bring us living standards for all our citizens and overall economic development of our country.
That's a very positive mood to show the end. But one thing I really want to know, how it's better work, has been past 10 years, in very short. How does it go?
Like the future of, or
anything? Yeah.
Well, we are currently looking into what is the role of the Better Work for the next 10 years. So what we think is that Better Work has done quite a good sort of a solid foundational work through its current menu of services and through its current way of working. But of course, as the Bangladesh is evolving, as Bangladesh is growing, it has to also change and create new ways of working together with the industries together with trade unions and workers' organizations and together with government.
Right.
So we are currently ideating how could it look like for the next year, next 10 years. Not ideating alone, but with the partners.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, better work is a partnership.
Right.
It's a partnership that needs to correspond and respond to the needs of the partners. So that process, that question is still a bit open, but I'm hopeful that Better Work Bangladesh continues to have a role in Bangladesh for the improvement of the garment industry, but also for the other industries. That's the kind of like the gist of transformations, and be part of those positive transformations going forward.
In short, what would be your message?
Yes, it's obvious that Better Work Bangladesh has set some examples, and government, I mean the Department of Inspection for Factories and Establishments by now has got skills, has got technology, has got the, the tools to make the inspection more effective, more functional. And as I have mentioned, that ICT is introduced in our day-to-day work. So Better Work Bangladesh has put some good examples, and in DAIFE and other government agencies, I have to mention one initiative from the government that we call comprehensive inspection mechanism, where all the departments like from power, from gas, from utility services, all of the Raju, city corporation, we combine
Everybody's
together and we go for a comprehensive inspection. We have done almost 10,000 factories and establishments inspection over the last 2 years, and we have issued corrective action plan to them. And under this corrective action plan, many factories and establishments are getting their correction in their workplaces. So this is how, the examples from the development partner translated into our country, and it is now internalized in the system, internalized in the mechanism. So I don't see any problem. I mean, as long as Better Work Bangladesh is with us, excellent. And beyond that, Bangladesh is already prepared, as I have mentioned.
And they prepared you, probably. Yeah. Thank you for two of you for being in the show. It's been a very healthy debate. Normally, we don't see that. It's quite a good one, and I would love to see you two maybe after a year with more your responses, with more critical points, maybe.
Happy to be here. Happy to be here.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
দর্শক, আমরা শেষ করছি আজকের অনুষ্ঠান। আমরা পুরো আলোচনায় শুনেছি কি পরিমাণ ইতিবাচক পরিবর্তন হয়েছে, সামনে কি চ্যালেঞ্জ আছে। ডেফিনেটলি স্ট্রাকচারাল যে পরিবর্তনগুলো হয়েছে সেগুলো অনেক বেশি ইতিবাচক। এখন হিউম্যান ডেভেলপমেন্টে যে চ্যালেঞ্জগুলো রয়েছে, স্পেশালি লেবার রাইটে, সেই চ্যালেঞ্জগুলো সরকার অ্যাড্রেস করছে। সামনে শ্রম আইন সংশোধন হবে, হয়তোবা সেগুলো নিয়ে নানান ধরনের সংশয় আছে, সেগুলো কেটে যাবে। এবং সরকার যেটা চেষ্টা করছে, মানব সম্পদ উন্নয়ন, মানুষের জন্য কাজ করা, সেই জায়গাটা যে বিদেশিদের নানান ধরনের প্রশ্ন, সেই প্রশ্নগুলো থাকবে না। দেখা হবে চ্যানেল 24-এর অন্য কোনো আয়োজনে। তার আগ পর্যন্ত ভালো থাকুন, সুস্থ থাকুন।